My first and most abiding impression was that he's so engaging and fun-loving. As I grew to know him during wonderful conversations on late Friday afternoons through the autumn and the winter and the spring, I learned of his interest in countless things, among them autographs. You probably know he collects them. He has since he was 15 years old, and he owns hundreds, not just celebrities. Phil Silvers was the first autographed picture he ever received. Perhaps many of you don't remember Phil Silvers, Sergeant Ernie Gilco in the 1950s, TV entrepreneur, con artist, par excellence. So I learned about Bob's, dare I say, infatuation with glamorous Loretta Young. In addition to collecting Loretta Young memorabilia, he's created a website that gets 50,000 hits per year. Several years ago, Loretta Young's biographer came all the way from California to interview Bob. I learned about his interest in Eamon de Valera, the great Irish politician, and his interest in antiques, not as a collector but for their historic value. And I learned about his remarkable affinity for St. Thomas More. You might not know that Bob has the only website in the world on Maurice Chevalier, the quintessential Frenchman. It soon became clear to me that Bob Hubbard is an extraordinary man. And if I weren't averse to cliche, I might even call him a Renaissance man. But instead I'll say he's someone who loves to learn and who engages with life intellectually in ways that speak of exploration and discovery. Ever resourceful, he takes computer applications to the ultimate degree, kind of like extreme sport in computing. And he links the world with new and creative things in ways that demonstrate the dazzling power of technology, where things and people and ideas are intertwined and interwoven. 2 years ago, Bob asked me if I would consider co-authoring a book on sloths. Yes. He's enamored of lazy mammals, too. And his website on sloths is visited by 250,000 individuals a year who use it as a resource for school projects and other important things. Naturally, I was very flattered. The plan was that he'd do the research and I'd do the writing. And in the spirit of slothful movement and in deference to sloths everywhere, we're still working on that project. Given Bob's history of information gathering activities, I wasn't surprised when he told me about his latest creation, Last Survivors. He explained that he had researched the book during the summer, when professors find those quiet moments to write. As you read it, you'll find it hard to believe that he worked so quickly and deftly with such impressive scope and detail. The book is replete with hundreds of names and thousands of dates, but it isn't a dry read. On the contrary, it's entertaining and informative and inspirational. Organized into 19 chapters, chapters that range from entertainment to sports to religion to expeditions to world history, Last Survivors tells the story of people who lived in history and through history and were a part of history. Bob's book showcases longevity and endurance, but it does it in a way that casts light on achievement, many of the achievements that we all benefit from but rarely think about, such as the last surviving inventor of the transistor. His name was Dr. John Bardeen. He won the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1956. I learned that from Bob's book. In this book, Bob resurrects the names of people who perhaps realize their 15 minutes of fame, but who, for the most part, have long since been forgotten. You see, this is yet another interest of Bob's, honoring those who have not been or are not represented properly. It matters immensely to him. Bob's middle initial is E. It stands for Ernest, but I can't, Ernest Hemingway maybe, but I can't help think about his life of the mind and the joyful curiosity with which he lives, and conclude that the homonym Ernest aptly applies to him. So if you think about sloths and Loretta Young and St. Thomas More and computers and Eamon de Valera and Maurice Chevalier and Phil Silvers and Last Survivors, and you connect all the dots, you'll have a picture, and it will be a singular one. Our beloved Associate Professor of MIS, Bob Hubbard. One last thing. I leave you with a Latin phrase that captures the spirit of the work Bob has done. Imperfectum est dum conficiatur. If you want to know what it means, ask Bob. It's with delight and tremendous respect, Shakespeare would say, I wish you all the joy that you can wish, that I introduce author Robert E.